The hidden idol in the cup is not something the world easily recognizes, for idols never appear as idols. They appear as something harmless, even helpful, even necessary. So it is with caffeine, a small seed, a roasted bean, a hot liquid in a cup. How could such a simple thing turn into a ruler of lives? And yet each morning millions rise not with prayer, but with the ritual of pouring and sipping. They bow their heads over mugs as if at an altar, drawing what they believe is life from a bitter stream. They say, "I cannot function without it. I cannot think. I cannot live." That confession alone reveals the chains. For anything you cannot do without has already taken mastery over you. The idol wears no crown. It bears no image of gold. It is disguised as coffee, tea, soda, or an energy drink. Yet it is worshipped by its necessity, honored by its ritual, feared in its absence. But what is the nature of an idol? Always the same. It promises life and it delivers death. It promises strength and it leaves you weak. It promises freedom, but it binds you tighter. So it is with caffeine. With every sip, it awakens the body not by giving energy, but by demanding it. It forces the nerves to burn, the heart to race, the mind to stretch itself beyond its design. And though the cup feels like a blessing, the body begins to wither beneath its hand. Rest is robbed, sleep is stolen, peace is disturbed, and the vessel grows weary, even while it pretends to be strong. The idol always takes more than it gives, and do you not see how subtle it is? The world encourages the addiction. Cafes on every corner, slogans that say you can't live without it, laughter that hides the truth of dependency. In ancient times, men bowed to Baal or Ashtoreth and thought nothing of it, for the culture approved of their worship. In this age, men bow to caffeine, and the culture not only approves, it celebrates. Addiction dressed as sophistication. Dependency cloaked as productivity, but the truth remains, the more one bows, the weaker one becomes. The idol grows stronger, the worshipper grows frailer. Yet the scripture warns, you cannot serve two masters. You cannot serve the body as the temple of God, and yet enslave it to a foreign ruler. The cup was never meant to rule your morning, your thoughts, your emotions, or your strength. The true source of life is not found in roasted beans, but in the Spirit of God who renews every cell, who grants real rest, who gives peace that surpasses all understanding. Caffeine cannot grant peace, it only steals it. It cannot give joy, it only excites the nerves. It cannot strengthen the soul, it only drains the body. And what is most dangerous is not only the toll it takes on the body, but the toll it takes on the spirit. For when man begins to look to anything but God for strength, he has already set another on the throne. But idols are always revealed, and idols can always be torn down. The bitter cup can be put aside, the chain can be broken. And what the world says you cannot live without, you will discover you never needed. You were not created to be driven by stimulants, but to be filled with life. You were not made to be sustained by caffeine, but by the breath of God Himself. Lay down the cup, and you will find that the one who formed you has already given you all the strength you need. So hear it, the hidden idol is not in the temple of stone, but in the cup you drink each day. And the call is the same as it was in ancient days: tear down the idol, break its power, and return to the true source of life. For the strength you seek is not in the bitter drink, but in the living God. Every time a hand reaches for the cup, it seems like a simple choice, a small indulgence to make the day a little easier. Yet what appears harmless is in truth a dangerous exchange. Caffeine does not give energy, it borrows it. It does not bless the body, it demands from it. It is a transaction in which you are tricked into spending tomorrow's strength today. You feel a surge, a quickened pulse, a sharper focus, but this is not life being added, it is life being withdrawn. The body is forced to open its reserves, to burn its fuel before the appointed time, and as with every debt, there comes a collector. The more you borrow, the more you owe, until the body is drained of its balance, and you stand weary, anxious, and dependent on the very thing that brought you to weakness. Consider how subtle this trap is. You drink the cup in the morning and feel alive, believing caffeine is your source of power. But by afternoon, the energy fades, the fog returns, and you reach again for the cup. The cycle repeats, and each time you are convinced you are being filled when, in truth, you are being emptied. It is a false economy of the soul, a counterfeit currency of strength. What caffeine gives with one hand, it robs with the other until sleep is broken, nerves are frayed, and the natural rhythms designed for restoration are shattered. The body was created with cycles of day and night, of waking and resting, of exertion and renewal. It was meant to draw power from the food of the earth, the waters of life, and the rest that heals. But caffeine interrupts this divine order. It silences the natural signals of fatigue, pushing the body beyond what is wise. It turns the sacred gift of rest into something to be fought against rather than embraced, and the more you resist the body's God-given rhythm, the more you pay the price. Fatigue deepens, sleep becomes shallow, the heart pounds when it should be at peace, and anxiety begins to rule the mind. The very thing you took to gain control ends up controlling you. The danger is not only physical, but spiritual. For every act of dependence reveals where we place our trust. When you cannot rise without caffeine, you have confessed a dependence on it for your very being. You have surrendered tomorrow's strength to today's demand. You have chosen a master who drains rather than fills, who deceives rather than blesses. And is this not the way of every false promise? To take what was meant to be eternal and trade it for the fleeting, to sacrifice the future for a momentary rush. Caffeine offers the appearance of strength, but it does not build anything lasting. It is the borrowed glow of a candle burning faster, the sprint of a runner spending all his breath in the first mile. And once that fleeting strength is gone, what remains is emptiness. This is the hidden truth behind the cup. It does not add days to your life, it subtracts them. It does not multiply your rest, it divides it. But there is another way. You were not created to borrow life from stimulants. You were designed to live in the balance of the Creator's design, to rise with the light, to rest with the night, to draw strength from what He provides. True energy does not come from the cup, but from alignment with His rhythm. When you cease borrowing tomorrow's strength, you discover the gift of today's. And in that gift there is peace, there is freedom, there is life. Caffeine presents itself as a friend of the mind, a companion in focus, a helper in the hours of strain. Yet the truth is far from what it seems, for every so-called benefit hides a darker cost. It does not simply awaken the senses, it unsettles them. It does not bring calm, it destroys it. It does not bring peace, it robs it. The very system that God created to function in balance heart, nerves, mind, and rest is thrown into disarray. What is presented as harmless becomes a silent assassin of peace. Think of what peace truly is. It is the steady rhythm of the heart, untroubled and calm. It is the gift of deep sleep that restores the body, repairing what was broken in the day. It is the mind at ease, not restless, not frantic, but steady, focused, alive in clarity. This is what peace looks like in the temple of the body. But caffeine enters that temple and overturns the tables. It excites the nerves until the heart beats faster than it should. It floods the body with urgency as if danger were present. even when all is still. It steals the rest that was meant to restore you, leaving your nights shallow and your mornings weary. Instead of calm, it brings unease. Instead of clarity, it brings jitter and anxiety. What it claims to give, it takes away. And the body, though resilient, is not without limits. Night after night of disturbed sleep begins to dull the mind. The memory weakens, focus falters, emotions fray. You find yourself anxious over small things, restless even in quiet moments, irritable without cause. And still, the hand reaches for another cup to quiet the unrest, not knowing that the very unrest is its creation. This is the cycle of dependence where the destroyer offers itself as savior, where the thief pretends to be the healer. There is a deeper danger here, one beyond the body and the mind. Peace is not only a physical state, but a spiritual one. To lose rest is to lose communion. To lose stillness is to lose the ability to hear. How can one hear the voice of God when the mind is restless, when the heart is racing, when the body is enslaved to cycles of artificial stimulation? The scriptures speak of peace that surpasses understanding, a gift given not by the world but by God. Yet caffeine creates its own counterfeit, momentary alertness in place of true calm, a surge of energy in place of lasting strength. It is not peace but a mask, and behind the mask lies emptiness. The tragedy is that so many have come to accept this restless state as normal. They no longer remember what deep rest feels like, what natural focus truly is, what it means to wake refreshed without the crutch of a stimulant. They live under a constant shadow of tension, believing it to be life. But peace is not gone. It is only waiting for the idol to be cast down. To turn from caffeine is not merely to leave behind a habit, but to return to the design of God, to taste again the gift of unbroken sleep, to feel the heart beat in its natural rhythm, to experience focus that is born not of chemicals but of clarity, to know peace not as the world gives, but as God intended, stillness of body, calmness of mind, and rest for the soul. For peace is the true strength, and no bitter cup can ever give what only the Creator has written into your being. The bitter cup may appear to hold strength, but it is not strength, it is a chain. It binds the body in dependence, ties the mind in restlessness, and deceives the spirit into believing life is found in what drains it. Yet the call of God has always been to freedom. He never made you to be a servant of stimulants, never formed you to live in cycles of craving and withdrawal. What the world presents as necessity, the Creator has already replaced with abundance. To break free from the grip of caffeine is not to lose but to gain, not to empty but to be filled, not to weaken but to be restored. The first step is revelation, the opening of the eyes, to recognize that the cup is not harmless but an idol, not a gift but a thief, is to begin the journey. No idol is overthrown until it is first seen for what it is. And once you see it clearly, the power of its deception begins to fade. The hand that once reached for it out of habit now hesitates, now questions, now begins to choose differently. For freedom begins the moment you realize you were enslaved. And yet freedom is not only about saying no to what enslaves, but about saying yes to what restores. The body does not need caffeine, it needs rest. It does not need stimulation, it needs balance. It does not need the false energy of the bitter cup. It needs the true energy that comes from the rhythms of creation. Water that refreshes, food that nourishes, sleep that renews, stillness that heals. These were given freely, without cost, without addiction, without harm. When you begin to align yourself again with these natural gifts, you find the strength that caffeine promised but never gave. There is also a spiritual freedom hidden in this choice. Every time you lay aside what enslaves, you open space for what is eternal. Every time you turn from a counterfeit source of strength, you make room for the true source to fill you. The Spirit of God gives clarity without anxiety, energy without depletion, rest without disturbance. The peace you lost to caffeine is restored in Him, and the strength you sought in the cup is found in His presence. Where the bitter drink bound you, His Spirit frees you. And do not think the chains are unbreakable, for many believe they cannot live without it, but that is the very lie that keeps them bound. The truth is that you were never meant to live by what drains you. The chains are strong only as long as you believe them to be. Once broken, you will look back and wonder how such a small thing ruled you for so long. What once felt impossible will become your testimony, that you do not need the bitter idol to rise, to work, to live. That life is not in the cup, but in the one who made you. So the call is clear: cast down the idol, pour out the bitter cup, and step into freedom. For you were not made to live half awake, half drained, chained to a false promise. You were made to live whole, alive, renewed each day, filled not with stimulants, but with the strength of God Himself. And in that freedom, you will discover that what caffeine could never give, the Creator had already placed within you from the beginning.